So to the man who is watching, I don't know how long you've been following me, maybe for a few weeks, months, couple of years or so. And I wanted to do a video talking about how I got to where I am today, because you might see some of the stuff I do and feel like, okay, so this guy's like always been confident or always been good with women. Not the case at all. Not the case at all. Firstly, this video is going to be a two-parter, so I'll do the second part tomorrow. Anyway, let me get started. So growing up, man, I was very, very, very shy. Very shy. And the reason for that was because I was always told that there was always something wrong with me. I heard that message so much. I grew up as a black kid surrounded by white people, like going to school, like the only black person in my class. That was usually the case. Or living where I grew up, more or less the only black person in the area. And the kids I grew up with, bearing in mind that this is the 80s or 90s, they would often say to me, you're different because you're black. Like, I heard that all the time. You're different because you're black. So that was hard. But then also on the weekends, I'd be with black people. Now, on the weekends when I'm with black people, the black people I was with on the weekends would say, you're different because you sound like a white person. I got that a lot as well. So when you're constantly being told you're different, it's like, who am I? Where do I belong? Also, I had some like ADHD or something like that as well. And I had loads of energy, hyperactive and things. And I was always in trouble, always in trouble. In trouble with my parents, in trouble at school, whatever. I grew up feeling like I was some sort of horrible, hideous, despicable troll. That's the way I felt. And I actually remember being like 7 or 8 and actually saying to myself, okay, so considering I'm so horrible or considering I'm so terrible, I'm gonna make life hard for myself. Like, I actually made a decision to punish myself and make life hard, which is kind of messed up when you think about it. But anyway, the point is that I grew up like just unable to talk to people. Like, I could talk to really close friends or family, but anyone else I just couldn't, man. And people thought I was weird. Like, a lot of people thought I was weird, like at school and things like that. And for me, it was like, it wasn't even just like, oh, I can't get girls. I mean, I didn't think I could, but I just couldn't meet people at all, man. At all. I was a bit overweight. People used to make fun of that. When I was 14, I started working out. Started building some of this. Here's the thing. By the time I was 15, 16, I more or less looked like this. So I wasn't fat anymore. But even though I wasn't fat, like, I still felt the same in here, you know? Still felt the same. I remember when I was 18, I started going to nightclubs with friends. And we'd be going to these clubs like once a week or so. There's a club called Snobs that I went to every freaking week. Now, Snobs had a capacity of about 200 people and everyone knew each other. Like, everybody knew everyone at Snobs. And I'm there and I'm drunk as all hell. Drunk, I might be on some drugs, I'm just high. But even though I'm not drunk, I'm still too scared to speak to people. I'll talk to people for about 4 or 5 minutes and then I'll just back out and leave because I was just scared. Basically, scared. Scared of rejection, scared of looking stupid, scared of whatever. And yeah, man, that was hard. It's like I'd just go back and I'd get so wrecked. Like so wrecked. And I would just drink to the point of almost oblivion. Almost. And I would be hungover for days. Like, maybe I'd drink and I'd be hungover for like 3, 4, 5 days afterwards. Don't feel like myself, you know, feeling depressed and what have you. Went to uni when I was 19, university, college for you Americans. And when I'm there, I'm living in halls of residence. I'm with a group of people and they didn't dislike me, but they didn't respect me. They really didn't. My first day of uni, I remember trying to be really cool and I'm trying to, like, we've gone out, we've gone to this club and we come back and there's girls and there's guys and whatever, and I thought to myself, okay, uni, this is where it's all gonna start, man. This is like the birth of the new me. This is where I'm going to create this new life for myself, you know, this is what I'm gonna do. But yeah, I was trying to be really cool, but they all thought I was an idiot because I was just trying way too hard. And it's like I just came across really arrogant. So the girls decided they didn't like me. The guys thought I was stupid. And that really hit my confidence. Now the truth is, I probably could have come back from that. I totally could have come back from that, but it destroyed my confidence. And truth is, I still hadn't really done any work on myself anyway. So in the upcoming weeks and months, I was just in a shell, and I felt like I wasn't part of the group, and I suppose I wasn't. And then I started to feel like anxiety in my chest, total anxiety. Although I didn't know what it was at the time, but what I know is that I just tried to ignore it. And I remember I'd be there playing my PlayStation. It's a PlayStation 2, mind you. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, I was playing that game. And I'm playing the game all day just to get away from the feeling in my heart. And I know that if I actually paid attention to that feeling, if I sat down and actually paid attention to it, I'd have probably broke down and cried. Like, definitely would have done. Definitely. But, you know, I just ignored it. Anyway, so that builds up and it builds up, and I'm just miserable, man. I'm really miserable. I lived in a shared room with a guy called Stephen, and everyone loved Stephen, everyone did. And it was kind of hard because on the one hand, we're in the shared room and he was like one of the coolest guys in our little apartment building. So there were always people coming into my room because of him, which was good because it's like I wasn't really on my own. But they only came for him, and they only stayed if he was there. So people would knock the door and they'd say, "Hey, Kieran, is Stephen there?" And I'd say no, and they go, "All right then, see ya." And they're gone. And that hurt me. Like the fact that I knew, quote unquote, that I was so irreplaceable, or just, you know, it didn't matter. That hurt a lot. Then there was this day when we were all going to go drinking. And, well, we were going to go clubbing, but we were drinking. There's guys and there's girls, we're all in the kitchen, and we get onto the topic of weight. And I say to a girl, I think she looks like she weighs 10 or 10 and a half stone. She starts crying. She's apparently got an issue with her weight. I didn't think that was a heavy amount anyways. She starts crying. Again, everyone's upset with me. Kieran, how could you say that? Blah, blah, blah. Then there's this one girl who was her friend. She says, "Kieran, you're a fucking arsehole and I could have you killed." That's what she said. And like, she said it with venom as well. Like, she absolutely just hated me. That set me off massively. And all the anger, all of the pain, all of the misery, the frustration, it came out because it's like everything I do is wrong. Everything. Like, nothing I do is ever correct. Everything I do is wrong. These people always hate me. And I'm shouting and I'm screaming and I'm shouting and I'm screaming, and probably, almost certainly terrified everybody there because they never saw that side of me. I had like huge amounts of temper, but I learned to hide it because you don't want to be the angry black man, you know, that angry black man stereotype. So even though I had tons of temper or anger, I always hid it around people. I mean, I still got a huge temper today, I suppose, but so a lot of people who knew me, like if they didn't know me as a child and they knew me as like an adult, they're like, "Huh? You temper? Huh?" So I explode and I freaking just let rip on this girl. And like I say, man, everyone must have been terrified. Kieran, leave it, man, leave it, you know. Pulled out the room and I see a door with a safety glass pane and I punch that door in just anger. And I cut through my wrist. Don't know if you can see that there. Huge scar. Hopefully you can. Yeah? I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure you can. Anyway, huge scar on my wrist. I lacerate all the nerves and tendons in my right hand. Had to relearn to use my hand. I don't know if you can see, but it's like I can't really straighten this hand properly. I mean, I can if I force it, but I can't use this hand properly at all. Like, you know, the Vulcan thing, live long and prosper, where you know, this thing here. Can't do that here. Had to, blood was coming out like a hose, and I mean that, like a hose, man. I was terrified, everyone else was terrified. I obviously had to go to hospital. Had an operation to reattach the nerves and tendons in my right hand. You know, it's a funny thing, when I did this, I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't feel a thing. It's just like, and there was absolutely no pain whatsoever, but I couldn't move my hand at all. It's like that signal was just gone. Anyway, yeah, man, I have an operation. reattach my nerves and tendons. Then it took me about a year to relearn the use of my hand. A year. So I had to do everything with my left hand, basically for about a year. Everything with my left hand. And that was really tough, man. And like, to be honest, I started to go into like a pit of depression then. Like I really did. And then I started to find it hard to connect to even the people, like people I'd known forever. You know? The way I saw myself really started to change. It's funny because before that moment, I always thought I was invincible, like physically. I thought I was. I like to tell myself I was. That moment showed me that I wasn't, man, because I couldn't move my fucking hand. And then I started to get brain fog. And then it's like I couldn't focus in conversations, and like I couldn't remember what the hell I was saying. Anyway, this has been 11 minutes, so I'm gonna stop here. But part 2 will come tomorrow. I will do part 2 of this story for you guys tomorrow. So, yeah, man. Thanks for listening.